You're 32 years old and you just became a federal prohibition agent. The year is 1925 and Congress just handed you a badge, a gun, and the impossible job of keeping America sober. Your salary, $1,800 a year. That's barely enough to keep your lights on, let alone support a family. But here's the thing nobody told you during training. This job isn't about enforcing the law, it's about deciding which laws you can afford to enforce. Your partner is a guy named Marcus. He transferred in from Chicago the same week you started. Quiet, principled, the kind of agent who irons his shirt before a raid and still believes the oath means something. He's got a wife and a newborn back in a cramped apartment in Brooklyn, and he sends half his paycheck to his mother in Illinois every month. Marcus is the best man you know. That's going to make everything that comes next so much worse. Your first week on the job, they assign you to raid a speakeasy in the Bronx. You and Marcus kick down the door with 6 other agents, expecting to find hardened criminals. Instead, you find 40 working-class people trying to forget the depression is eating them alive. One watered-down gin at a time. The owner, a 60-year-old Italian immigrant, offers zero resistance. He just stands there with his hands up, tears streaming down his face because he knows his life is over. You arrest him anyway. You have to. That's the job. Marcus cuffs him gently, almost apologetically. 3 weeks later, you hear he hanged himself in his cell. Nobody at the office mentions it. Marcus doesn't eat lunch that day. The raids keep coming. You bust a different joint every week, and every single time the same thing happens. You arrest the small fish, impound the booze, file the paperwork. Then, like clockwork, the establishment reopens under a new name within 72 hours. Same location, same owner, just using his cousin's name this time. You start to realize the truth. You're not stopping anything. You're just creating paperwork and ruining individual lives. While the actual liquor empires operate completely untouched, Marcus sees it too. But where it makes you cynical, it makes him try harder. He stays late. He double-checks evidence logs. He writes reports nobody reads. You watch him burn and wonder why he bothers. One night, you're walking home through Little Italy when a black Cadillac pulls up beside you. The back window rolls down and you recognize the face immediately. Salvatore Maranzano, not some street-level bootlegger. This man controls half the illegal liquor flowing into New York. He should be terrified of you. Instead, he's smiling like your old friends. He doesn't threaten you. Doesn't even raise his voice. He just asks a simple question. You make $1,800 a year, right? You don't answer, but your silence says everything. He slides an envelope across the seat. There's $5,000 in there. That's just for listening. You should walk away. You should arrest him right there on the street. But your landlord just raised your rent. Your wife is pregnant with your second kid, and your salary hasn't increased a single dollar since you started. You take the envelope. The weight of it in your coat pocket feels heavier than your badge ever did. The arrangement is beautifully simple. Once a week, Maranzano's people give you a list of addresses. These are his competitors, rival bootleggers cutting into his territory. You raid them with extreme prejudice. You get to pad your arrest numbers and look like a star agent. Maranzano eliminates his competition using federal resources. Everyone wins. Well, everyone who matters. Marcus is on every raid. He's your partner, so he goes where you go. He doesn't know the targets are handpicked by a mob boss. He thinks you're just exceptionally good at intelligence gathering. He actually compliments you one night. Says you've got the best instincts of any agent he's ever worked with. You thank him while the envelope in your coat pocket burns a hole through your chest. Your second payment comes with $10,000. You don't even hesitate anymore. You take your team and raid a warehouse in Queens operated by a Polish crew. You seize 300 cases of Canadian whiskey, arrest 14 men, and the newspapers call you a hero. The next morning, your supervisor takes you out for lunch and tells you you're on the fast track to promotion. Marcus clips the newspaper article and pins it to the board in your shared office. He's genuinely proud of you. That pride feels like a knife. Nobody asks why you always seem to know exactly where to find the biggest shipments. Nobody wonders why certain neighborhoods never get raided despite obvious speakeasy activity. The system doesn't reward questions, it rewards results. But success breeds visibility, and visibility breeds problems. The crews you're hitting start to notice a pattern. They realize someone's feeding information to the feds and they start looking for the leak. One crew figures out the connection. They send 3 men to your house at 4 a.m. in the morning. They don't knock. They kick your door off the hinges, drag you out of bed, and beat you half to death in front of your wife. The message is clear: back off or they'll come back to finish the job. Marcus shows up at the hospital the next morning. He sits by your bed for 3 hours without saying a word. When he finally speaks, he tells you this is what happens when agents get too effective. He thinks the beating was retaliation for your good work. He tells you he's proud to be your partner. He says, you're the real deal. You lie there with 2 broken ribs and a swollen face and let him believe the version of you that doesn't exist. Your wife is hysterical, begging you to quit. But quitting means losing everything: the money, the lifestyle, the respect. So you make a choice. You go to Maranzano and tell him you need protection. He listens patiently, then makes you an offer you'll spend the rest of your life regretting. He'll protect you and your family. But from now on, you don't just feed him information. You're part of the organization. You carry out jobs, real jobs. Your first real job comes 48 hours later. A union organizer at the docks is threatening to go to the newspapers with proof of smuggling routes. Maranzano doesn't want him arrested. He wants him gone permanently. You meet 2 of Maranzano's soldiers at a warehouse in Red Hook. They hand you a revolver and an address. You sit in your car outside the organizer's apartment for 1 hour. The gun feels alien in your hand, even though you've carried one for years. There's a difference between holding a weapon as a symbol of authority and holding it as an instrument of murder. The organizer comes home at midnight. He's younger than you expected, maybe 30. Wedding ring on his finger. He looks tired, like a man who just wants to get inside and sleep. You raise the gun. He starts to say something. You pull the trigger twice. The sound is deafening in the narrow hallway. He drops. A look of absolute surprise frozen on his face. You stand there waiting to feel something. Guilt, horror, regret. But there's nothing, just emptiness. You toss the gun into the East River and drive home. Your wife is asleep. You shower and slip into bed beside her. The next morning, you read about it in the paper. They're calling it a robbery gone wrong. Over the next 16 months, you become Maranzano's most valuable asset. When the feds plan a major raid, you tip off the targets hours before. When a prosecutor gets too close, documents vanish from evidence rooms. You're a cancer growing inside the justice system, and nobody suspects a thing because your arrest record is spotless. The money keeps flowing. You move your family to a house in Westchester with a yard and a white picket fence. Your kids go to private school. Your wife thinks you're just incredibly good at your job. Marcus never stops being your partner through all of this. He's there on every raid, every operation. He's meticulous, honest, thorough, and slowly. Without realizing it, he starts noticing things. Small inconsistencies. A raid where the target seemed to know you were coming. Evidence that doesn't quite add up. A witness who changes their story after you interview them alone. One night after a raid, Marcus asks to talk. Just the 2 of you. He's got that look on his face. Serious, careful. He tells you he's been reviewing case files. Says there's a pattern he can't explain. Targets that get tipped off. Evidence that disappears. Operations that always seem to benefit the same people. He's not accusing you. Not yet. He's giving you a chance to explain, to give him a reason not to think what he's already thinking. You look your best friend in the eye and you tell him he's being paranoid. You tell him the job is getting to him. You tell him to go home and kiss his wife and stop looking for ghosts. He nods slowly. He wants to believe you, so he does. Because that's what Marcus does. He sees the best in people even when the best isn't there. But it's only a matter of time. Marcus is too smart, too principled, too thorough. He's going to figure it out eventually. And when he does, he won't just be disappointed, he'll be destroyed.